Hello there, and welcome to a very special episode of Satisfactory. This one's going to be slightly different. No, it's not Series 4, unfortunately. Season 4, or Series 4, whichever you want to call it, is still waiting for some mods to be readied for Update 8 so that we can have a very exciting, very awesome Season 4, I hope, anyway. But anyway, so this video is going to be a little bit different. You may notice by the title and probably thumbnail as well, is that we're going to be working on a little bit of a kind of dysfunctional tutorial. One that's going to be probably very disorganized. You guys know how I am. I forget information or recall information halfway through another information, you know, that kind of stuff. I try to stay organized, but it's just the way it is. So, but we are going to try. So this is a little bit going to be probably a little bit better than my last train tutorial because I didn't really know everything about trains. Now I know quite a bit more. I'm going to show you what I've learned over this last season, season 3. If you haven't seen the end of that, that just ended not a few days ago before Christmas. So hopefully y'all had yourselves a great Christmas as well. Even though the Christmas year is over, New Year's coming. Hopefully we can have a great new year here on the channel, but enough talk. So what's this tutorial about? This tutorial is going to be a bit of a train tutorial. I'm going to show you that, like I said, I'm going to show you the stuff I've learned, and I'm going to show you some tips and some tricks and stuff like that of how to get your rails looking, you know, maybe a little bit better depending on where you're at, where you're trying to build, stuff like that. And, you know, just some general tips and tricks and stuff like that. Who knows? We'll see how it goes, but it should be fun. But yeah, just so you know that we're not using any mods on this tutorial other than the Pak Utility Mod just to get our game started here, just so we can you know, build in peace and not have to worry about build costs and power costs and anything like that. And of course you can do that with the creative mode, but the creative mode in Satisfactory Update 8 is still a little bit janky, so they're still working on it. So we're going to go with Pak Utility Mod instead. You know, great mod to get yourself started on any game, should you wish to skip all the mundane crap, if you like. And as you can see here, we've got everything unlocked, so we're ready to go here as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started, shall we? So, like I said, train tutorial. Yes. I don't have all the pieces down. I forgot some pieces. That happens. But yeah, as you can see here, we've got quite a few pieces. Let me go ahead and pull up the build menu here. I forgot some pieces. Yeah, I forgot the empty platform and stuff like that. My bad. It happens, you know. It happens. But yeah, and also, I probably should have put down another freight car, which looks like this, of course, too. But yeah, you're going to notice a few different things when you unlock trains. Trains are unlocked in... they are unlocked in Tier 6 monorail technology. And no, I did not have to go look it up. Oh man, yes, I did have to look it up. Shameful. But yeah, they're unlocked on Tier 6. I've been to this game 4 times and I still don't remember where everything's at. But yeah, you unlock this in Tier 6 unless you have mods, of course. Which you get these various pieces. You've got the electric locomotive, which drives the train. This is the power of the train. You've got freight car, which there's 3 different versions of the freight car. Like I showed here, this is the empty freight car. It's got nothing in it. When you load solid materials, you get this kind of freight car, which we just have this because it was annoying me over there. But yeah, we've got that, which is just a normal, your average freight car, which gets loaded into the freight platform, as you can see here. And then you have the fluid freight car, which this one hauls liquids and it hauls gases. The only gas being nitrogen. So this one's got a little bit of water in it. That was just so that I could get the actual fluid car, because this one you could put stuff in it and it'll turn into a freight car. This one you can't put liquid in it unless you do it through a train station, so that's fun. But yeah, this is the fluid freight platform, which shows you all their stuff too. So yeah, this is basically the pieces you're going to be working with. The other pieces that you're going to be working with, which I've completely neglected um, when dealing with trains, is you've got the block signal. These can be placed on either side of the track, and you notice the arrows there. We'll go into this a little more depth in a minute, but yeah, you've got the block signals, and then you've got the path signals. Both of these are very instrumental in your train network. Block signals are a lot more instrumental in the train network than path signals are, um, but both of these are instrumental to have a really complex functioning network. So you're definitely going to need both of these. There are a few things to know about both of these, and like I said, we'll go into that in just a little bit. Okay, so let's say you just unlocked trains, you just unlocked the monorail technology, the trains, and you're wondering, where do I have the space to build this? What do I need? That kind of stuff as well. So you're definitely going to need some pretty complex materials. I'll let you get into the materials and stuff like that, the cost of things. But I will tell you this though: the trains versus every other mobile, um, or versus every other transport for automation, trains are definitely the best when it comes to longer distances. Um, and this is a, and this is kind of a little bit opinionated because I love trains. Um, it's to me, it's because of the cost versus the distance and how much you can haul. So with different transportation methods, you would have already seen. You got the truck station, which is right here, and then you can load that up either via the tractors, which can be fueled by various fuel sources, or you can load them up via these trucks, which again can be very different fuel sources. The only problem is you've got two ways that these trucks can traverse the map, either on the ground or through foundations. They do have their limitations though, especially with steeper hills. These things can cost a lot of fuel and they can be extremely slow depending on where you are trying to transport your stuff. Definitely, if you're really, really tight on space, trucks are probably one of your better options. Um, but if you're going super long distances, trucks are definitely not the way. You definitely want to feign space for trains. Uh, the other type of transport mode, when you get into the end game, into phase 4 and stuff, is the drone port. You get the drone port. Yeah, also kind of a big building as well, and then you've got the drones. Now these are very good at transporting materials at very long distances very quickly. They do have some issues to them as far as cost. This is why the trains are one of the better transports in my opinion. Not only can the drone only haul 9 slots, I believe it is. Um, I don't know why I deleted that. Whatever. The drone, yeah, 9 slot inventory. So they can only haul 9 slots. They also need batteries to function, which you've got to put into here. So if you've got two drone ports that are incredibly far away from each other, prepare to have a big battery factory. This is because drones use uh, uh, they use 4 batteries per trip, 2 going one way, 2 going the other, and it's also 1 battery extra per kilometer. So this drone port, I'm going to still use 4 batteries no matter what. And then on top of that, that drone port to say one, um, I'm not exactly sure how long a kilometer is. I've only been playing this game for 2,100 hours. So let's say this is a kilometer. That drone port to that drone port, I'm going to be using 4 batteries plus one more for my trip. Now, the cool thing about drones is you don't have to have, if they only got a destination, only one destination each direction, then you're only going to be, the drone is only going to take batteries for that one trip. If you have the drone going to multiple drone ports, you're going to need more batteries and such like that, and it can get pretty crazy pretty quickly. They are very, very useful for long distances, but I would say if you're transporting maybe one item across the map, let's say like uranium, mostly across the map to a nuclear power plant, then drones would come in pretty handy. Trains would be a little less practical at those distances, but they're also very, very costly. The drones, the drone ports, and the batteries, all extremely costly for the amount of distance you have to travel. Trains are extremely cheap, especially when you get into steel. If you get some steel pipe and some steel beam factories going, and you're got them stored up in, say, massive storage containers, you could take like 5, 6 stacks of each in your inventory and then go halfway across the map almost with that for the track, because they take both beams and pipes to build the tracks. And they're very, very cheap for the amount of distance you need to go. And one train will suffice. Plus, the train only runs on electricity. That's its only cost. Um, and plus, the inventory does say on here, because I forget, is 32 slot capacity or the 1600 meters cubed or whatever. Um, which is these. And then on top of that storage, you've got 2400 in here for fluid, and then in here you've got this massive storage as well. Um, on top of that, now the other thing that it's important to remember, it doesn't matter if you're doing trucks, stations, if you're doing drones or trains, all of these have unlimited input and output. Um, you're only limited by your belts and your pipes. So pipes obviously being 600 in the Mark IIs, 300 with the Mark 1s, 600 with the Mark IIs, and then the belts at maximum is 780 items per minute. Or if you do the math here, it will hit the N key. We'll take the 780 times 2, so there's your maximum output for each one of these train stations, which is 1560. And of course, if you've got a longer train that's longer than one car, obviously you could output even faster if you're doing just a single item. So you can get pretty crazy with trains and stuff like that. And also, the other limitation of drone ports, if you look, there's only one input and one output. Trains have 2 inputs and 2 outputs. Um, So, pretty darn cool. You can output twice as fast, you can input twice as fast. Same with the pipes. And with drones, you can't haul liquids with drones. They don't have a liquid port. If you're going to haul liquids or gases with drones, you have to package it first, which costs more materials. So there's the material cost again. Same with the trucks, the truck stations. They only have they have 2 inputs and 2 outputs on these, but on top of that, you also need fuel of some kind, whether that be coal, whether that be fuel canisters, turbo fuel, batteries. Even you can power them with batteries if you like. But yeah, you do need power, or you do need fuel as well for those trucks, and you also need from one truck station to the next. That truck has to have enough fuel to go from one truck station to the next at the very least. Or if you want it to make a round trip, it has to be able to have enough fuel to make that round trip. So you're going to be kind of limited on distance when it comes to those as well, unless you have multiple truck stops along the way just to get fuel. Um, which you can do. It has been done and stuff like that. So, and like I said, trains you can build them as cheaply as you want them, but going the super cheap route is going to make your trains look less desirable, to say the least. We'll say. So, again, like I said, let's say you just unlock trains and you're trying to figure out how you're going to transport some materials. So, the only things we're going to be transporting in this kind of slight tutorial stuff is going to be just the raw materials, because we're not going to set up factories and go too crazy on it. We'll just do some raw stuff, just to kind of show you how it works, get a feel for it, and stuff like that. So the one thing you're going to want to know is train stations are they are 5 foundations. That's right. It's like I knew it's 5. They are 5 foundations by 2, or 4 foundations, you can get them to fit on 4 foundations as well. So we can take this train station down, and you can get them on a 4x2 square. They just fit. So 4x2, if you want to go that route. I'd rather do the 5x2 so you have room to put your belts and other stuff, you know. But yeah, 4x2 is the smallest you need for a train, but you're not going to be able to haul anything, of course. You're going to need more stuff. So let's go ahead and go on over here. Let's pick some iron. That looks like some good iron right there. Look at all this iron. I want to transport this iron. It's all unpure. Hell, it's all impure. Okay, so one of the first things you're probably going to do as you get started with trains. There's the cost right there. So, but yeah, is you're probably just going to be like, okay, well, I'll just throw a train station down. Actually, let's throw that. Let's throw that this way. Why not? Let's throw a train station down. Yeah, kind of over here, I guess. And so you need to pick the freight platform that you're going to be needing, which this is a solid, so we're going to be needing just the regular freight platform. And since there is 4 nodes, now you don't have to do this, but I'm like, this is my thinking right here, since there's 4 nodes, I'm going to put down 2 train stations, or 2 freight platforms. You can make trains as long as you want, given you have the space for it. You can make them 100 cars long if you really want to. That can be done. There's no real limit with that kind of stuff. Oh, there's no space on the track. Hold on. Let me pull a little bit of track out. We'll see. Let's go this way with it. Why not? So yeah, this is just your basic build, though. So the other thing to deal with trains as well is I always like to put down the engine first, because that's just easier. And then make sure when you're putting down your freight cars that they are connected, because this is not like Factorio. You cannot connect and disconnect rail cars without deleting them. So make sure it snaps to it, as you can see here. When I move it to it, when I start moving it close, see how it snaps together. So we're going to put that one there. We're going to put that in there because that's a 2-car train. So it's going to be input. Let's go ahead and get rid of this real quick. Haven't done any hand mining yet, huh? Get rid of all this stuff. Alright, now that all of that is gone, go ahead and pull in my tabs here. There we go. Let's go ahead and grab some miners. So this is probably one of the first things you're going to be doing. So production. Let's grab a miner Mark III. Now I do have this set to where I don't need power, so I can just hook these up. And we're not going to be doing the prettiest build until we actually go to try, of course. Yeah. But for now, we'll just do this. And we're going to use Mark V belts as well, just because I can. Of course, she probably won't be at Mark V belts by this time. So we'll hook that up to one of the inputs. Same with this one. Yeah, we're going to do a little bit of chaos building, because otherwise we'll be here forever. Because you guys know me and how I like to build like perfectly straight belts and all that stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, not today. Okay, so now we've got our 2 inputs, or 4 inputs, sorry. So we're using all 4 inputs in order to do this. Now, another way you can do this, of course, you don't have to do that like this if your train is planning on being the same material. Now, I recommend when building trains, try to keep your trains the same thing within the same train. So, like here, iron ore, I'm hauling iron ore. Try to keep it within the same train so you don't get confused to start out with, and then as you get more advanced, you get more used to how trains work, then you can start mixing up trains and, you know, doing kind of sushi trains, as they call it, like sushi belts, but it's a sushi train, hauling different materials and stuff like that when you get more advanced. And then when you get even more advanced, you can have a train not only dropping off materials but also picking up materials at the same time, which could be cool as well. if you like. But yeah, let's say I'm just like, nah, I don't want to. This is not what I'm going for. I'm going to get rid of all this. The other thing you can do, obviously, another little kind of trick is you don't have to have one thing inputting one thing. You can have multiple things inputting one thing. Conveyor merger, of course. So let's throw some mergers on here. There we go. So then you're just like, well, how are you gonna do that? Now you're not inputting any iron on this train. Well, here's the thing I like to do, is I will do this. And then, as this fills up, it's going to send all the materials from this to this. Depending on how you place your trains, it's going from front to back or back to front. Like I said, depending on how you place these as well. And there's another little trick too that I had not known until I was playing with a friend on a dedicated server. Is with this, if you want to keep organized in what's inside your train stations and stuff, you can put signs on train stations now. I don't know when they added this, but I did not know it until later. I'm just going to use a 2-meter sign as an example. See, I can put this here, I can put it here, I can put it here, and I can put it here. Look at all that. You have 4 different spots to put it, if you like. So like you say, you have like your inputs and your outputs, and then you're trying to keep organized that way, or whatever. Put it in the middle, put it on the top. Really, really cool. Very nice stuff. Oh, you can put it up. Yeah, you can put it there. I don't know if there's anywhere else you can put these. Yeah, it just seems like it's going there. Okay. So yeah, just on this side is all you can put them. So really, really cool. A nice little trick to keep organized if you like. But yeah, let's say we've got all of our stuff as well. So we've got all of our stuff. We can hit F to load this. Of course, it's only going to load the front cars. Only the front car has stuff in it. But yeah, very, very nice. Now, another little trick, a little tip about trains is the tracks are electrified. Obviously, how does the train work? Because it is an electric train. So it doesn't have any overhanging wires like you see on some monorail stuff. So the track itself is electrified. Now, this track carries power. So let's say I had another train station over here that had no power. Let's say this one, just real quick, this one is hooked up to power. So the power is being brought in to power my train network through this train station. I take this and I connect it here. This train station now has power to it without ever having to hook it up. And then let's say this is a standalone factory. I can then pull power as well from the train station and connect it to whatever I need to over here and have power to that factory without having to run cables along my trains. The train tracks will carry power. And if they're connected to your power plants in some way or another, you can also do it that way too. And then just have all your factory being powered through your trains. And then with the new priority switch, you can prioritize your trains, which a friend of mine was doing on his dedicated server. He was doing on his. He was prioritizing the trains so that the trains have priority over the power. Should something go down or something not work correctly like it's supposed to, the train itself will always have power, even if the base can't supply power to the factory that it's powering, or that's being powered through it, however it's set up. But yeah, really, really cool stuff. So just remember too, I will show you on here. Let's pull this train just by itself here. Train stations do take power to run, but they don't necessarily use power all the time. As you can see, this one right here is that the capacity is 0.1 megawatts, but it's not consuming anything. Even though the train takes power to run, it doesn't take any power to use. until you start running a train on it. So now if I put this train on this, which I can't right now because it's being a pain, once the train itself is what takes power to run. So yeah, when I start running this train, the power consumption is actually going to start going up. Same with this right here. As you can see, even though I've got all of that connected, that train, I've got the two freight network or the two freight stations there. As you can see, we're not consuming any power, or we're consuming power, but we're not consuming very much. We got the 25 megawatts there, the 25.3. Sorry, I don't know why I said it the way I did. It's very confusing, like I said. As you can see, there's the cost, it's 50, but why is it only taking 25 when it's 50, 50, and 50, or 50, 50? So I've got 150 megawatts right there. Well, they're only being powered when they're being used. Now, the train station always takes a little bit of power, as you can see there. Um, Actually, it's the train itself that's taking the power. Yeah, it's not the train station, it's the train. So none of this is consuming power other than the train. And also, uh, if I hit F to dock here, we can go back over here. Now you can see the consumption now went up to 75.2 because that is now consuming power. This stuff, like I said, only consumes power if it's needed. And also, you can load trains that are already loaded, by the way, as you can see there. Um, Trains can be loaded when the thing completely empty, and they can also be loaded with the car not completely full. So, unless this car is completely full, it would always try to load. But yeah, that's just how that works. The only time it consumes a lot of power is when the train is going. And of course, starting off from a stopping position is going to take more power until it gets up to speed. Um, as well, and this works both ways. The train can go the same speed both forward and backwards. It's bidirectional. You don't need engines on either end in order for that to work. Um, in order for the train to go forward and backwards is what I mean. Um, it will still work the way it works um, as well. So um, that's pretty much that, and that's all the power. They can take up to, like you see there, 110 megawatts. Now trains, obviously, this might come as obvious to some and maybe not so obvious to others, is trains going flat. Um, when the train gets up to speed, it'll take less power to run it, and it'll be just fine, and it'll eventually work its way down to not taking very much power at all to continue going. It's when you start going up hills is when the train starts to use more power. So as we say climb this hill, the train's going to take more power to pull that hill. Now trains as well have a weight to them. Each one of these cars weighs, whether it's full or empty, it does weigh a certain amount. When it's full, of course, it weighs more. When it's empty, it weighs less. But the more cars you add onto a train, the heavier it gets. Eventually, if you get a train that's too long, eventually the train's not going to be able to move at all. Now, there is a thing with this. Now, I kind of keep to this rule. We'll pull this train out. Just to give us a little more space. When a train is 5 cars or less, one engine, perfect. One engine works really nice with it. Gets a lot of speed. It goes quickly. Stuff like that. So there's our 5-car train. So 3, 4, 5. And obviously, the more cars, the more weight I have, the more power it's going to take. Up to 110 megawatts. The more power it's going to take to get it moving and to keep it at speed. As you can see here, it's a little bit slower. And as I pull this hill, notice that power didn't continue to go down. It stayed steady. And obviously, you pull the higher hill, the more power it's going to take to keep moving. Stuff like that. And I'll show you as well. What we can do is let's add even more cars to this train. So yeah, there's even more cars. And we're also pulling a slight hill just that amount of power just to get moving. And look, we're at 110. We barely broke 30 kilometers just to pull the hill, and it's pretty insane. And then when you get on a steeper hill, the slower you are. Look at this, like 110 megawatts just to get going. Um, and obviously that'd be much different if I remove, say, all these cars. So this will be the weight test, I guess you could say, just to kind of prove to you that it does take more power to get moving. So now we're going forward. Come on, there we go. There you go. See, I can get a lot more speed a lot more quickly because I have less weight to pull. Now, when you start running more than 5 cars, now I don't know why you'd ever do such a thing, but if you're like me, you're crazy. You definitely want to pull more cars. There is a little bit of trick you can do. You can either, let's just make a 6-car train here. You can either A, put an engine on the back, whether forward or backward, it doesn't matter. It's still going to power the same. You can put an engine on the back and get going even faster because now you've got 2 engines pushing the train just like a real freight car or just like a real freight train in the real world. Now the freight trains we have around here, sometimes they're over a mile long and they'll have 4 engines on the front and 4 engines on the rear just to get that train moving because of how much weight it has to pull. And yep, you did hear that correctly. You can do this on this train as well. You can add as many engines as you like. And just be aware that the more engines you add, the more power it takes to run it. Because I'm not just pulling the power for this engine, I'm pulling power for all 3 engines to get this train moving. It's the same amount of power there. Oh yeah, that's another trick too. If you wanted the train to stay on a hill, you notice that when you hop in, or when you're in a train, and you let's go ahead and stop here. Come on, stop. There we go. And I start pulling this hill. I'll pull the hill. There we go. And I let go of the throttle. You see it rolls backwards. If you want the train to stop, press space, hold the space down, wait till that right there. Wait till those brakes shoot out that air, and then you can hit E, and that will stop it on the tracks. If you get out midway through, before it has a chance to stop, like this, the train is going to brake as well. It has automatic brakes. You can also hop on the train midway through, and it does the same thing. It'll rarely roll downhill because of the brakes. It's got a dead man switch in it as well. So, yeah, just different ways of building a train. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and get into a full-size network here. Let's put this car here. And let's run a loop track, or basically a loop here. This might take some doing. Give me one moment to build this. Okay, so I've built a little bit of a track here. This is our train station pulling in our iron. We're going to pick up our iron and drop it off. So basically I'm going to do this manual just to kind of show you how to do it. And then we'll set it up for automatic mode. This is just a simple track. Very ugly looking in my opinion. That's just my opinion though. Don't worry. If you build your tracks like this, build them how you like. It is your game. You do it how you like. Me, I like to make my tracks look nice, but we just don't have the time to do that right now. Of course. So now that we're inside the station, I'm going to hit F one more time. We're going to dock. We're going to get that rear rail car. That real rail car. Yes, it's real, not fake. I swear. I swear it's not fake. I'm serious. It's real. Anyway, let's go ahead and load them on up. Also, left click to train horn. And if you hold it down, it sounds like a real freight train horn. and it goes for about the same distance as the real freight trains do when they're out in the middle of nowhere. So prepare your ears. I'm going to hold this down and it's going to stop by itself. And it echoes when you let it go that long. It echoes. It's amazing. I love it. So let's just get going here. Also, you can't be hurt by trains. You can get hit by them. You'll just be pushed out of the way. They won't hurt you, so don't worry about getting ran over. Although the trains used to shoot you across the map if they hit you hard enough, which was fun as well. Really fun. So we're going to pull into the station here. Now, I'm going to pull into the station a little bit further. There we go. Until I hit that F. Now watch what happens when I hit F. Nothing. Nothing happens. You're probably sitting there going, what? Why isn't anything happening? This is because if you ever have this happen, this is because you forgot to set something. And that very specific setting is over here. You forgot to switch this to unload. So this is no longer a click anymore. You can click it and sometimes it works, but they changed this to where you have to click and drag like that, and you change it to load to unload. Okay, now if you get back in your train and you hit F, this should happen. You hit the animation, the train now loads up. This is the same with setting up trains for automatic mode. You need to set your trains for loading and unloading, depending on what you're trying to do. Which in this case, we're trying to load our iron ore, and we're trying to unload it here. Now, because those train stations are empty, we don't get our cars back. They're gone forever. They're just buried deep within the train station, unfortunately. But, as you can see, the outputs are being merged into these two boxes. This is just for fun. What I might even do is set up a couple of these. Just so we can sync them. There we go. Okay, just for fun, like I said. What are you doing here? Hey, guess what? I got a present for you. Ow. There we go. Don't look. Don't look, kids. It's radiation time. Yeah, let's go ahead and head back. And basically what I've done is I've made a circuit track as well. So pretty good, nice. And I could load this all myself all day long. I mean, I love trains, so I could drive these trains all day long and just have fun with it. I could load them up and send them off. But we've got other things to be doing. But we need this iron ore to be over there getting sunk so that we can get tickets. Not really. That's just my excuse. Let's go ahead and drive this in here. You know, actually, I'm going to back it up just a wee bit. Okay, let's say, yeah, we're going to set it up to automatic mode so that we can go and do other things. The one thing I am going to do, you can see these power spikes here. This is from the train stopping and starting and going and pulling power and stuff. That's why we're getting those spikes in there. So if you have trains and you're seeing spikes, you're not seeing a nice solid consumption line. It's just because that's how trains are. They're not going to always use the same amount of power all the time. I'm going to change this train station name in here. We're going to change it to the Iron Mine just for ease of access, because eventually if you're doing a bunch of trains, you're going to end up with a whole bunch of train stations, and you need to make sure you try and keep everything organized so that you know where everything's at. Of course, you can go as crazy as you want. You can let the game name the train stations if you like. But me, I like to rename them. Just when you type in it, make sure you hit enter. And because if you don't, I'll show you here. We'll call this A. Hit enter to change it. Now, if you look at the top, it says A. And let's say I don't like that train name. I want to try this. So iron mine. And if I hit escape, it didn't change. What happened? You need to hit enter to confirm. So iron mine enter. And now if I hit escape, it won't let me hit escape now. I have to hit the X. Now it says iron mine. Same with the trains. You need to make sure you hit enter to confirm the name. So we're going to call this the iron train. Hit enter to confirm. And now we have, if we look at our map here, when you unlock the, or you'll have the map unlocked, but yeah, when you look at the map here, we've got a train station called Iron Mine and Hamburg Hauptbahnhof. What the heck is that name? But yeah, you can also hover over this. Um, and in the map, and you should see the train name here if we were on top of it. Iron Train. Now you can see it's in manual driving mode. It even tells you what mode it's in. So now we're going to set this up for automatic mode. So I'm going to hit Q again, and I'm going to hit Edit Timetable. And we want it to go to Iron Mine. You can set these in any order you like if you only have one station. If you have it in a very specific order that you want it to drop off at multiple stations and pick up from multiple places, you want to make sure you set that up accordingly. Because the timetable goes from the top to the bottom, and that's the route it takes. If you only have two different train stations on one line, you don't have to worry about it. Which order these are in, because it'll work itself out. And then we want to go to that one. You can also hit escape. You can do all kinds of cool stuff in any of this. You can do one unload, or yeah, the one load unload has been completed, or you could wait till the freight wagon is fully loaded and unloaded, or you can have it wait um, a certain amount of seconds, depending on what you're trying to load. If you want to go that deep into it, you don't have to. I usually don't because um, it's not really worth it. But now that I've got my timetable set, it's not worth it to me, is what I should say. It could be worth it to somebody else. Like I have like that same friend that runs that Discord, or that Discord that, well, yeah, it's a Discord server too, but that dedicated server for Satisfactory. He likes to go very far in depth with like the smart splitters and stuff like that, or the programmable splitters, and likes to get those exact numbers and loves his factories to run exactly. And me, I like to just overload everything. So it's just we have two different schools of thought, but we both accomplish the same goal, so it works out. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and hit save changes, and now you're going to see on the timetable here, you're going to see this, and you're going to see this. So we're going to go from here to here. And the next station is Iron Mine, because I set that one first. But you're going to notice the train's not moving. Why isn't it moving? Because you need to turn on self-driving. So as soon as we hit self-driving, the train's going to pull into the station because that's its train station, and it's going to start working. Now, if you only have one train station per line, and no other trains can be on the track that this train is on, um, I don't need block signals and pass signals. I shouldn't, because the train doesn't have any other trains running on the line, so no other trains need to identify where the trains are at. If you don't set up block signals and pass signals and stuff, the trains can collide with one another, which we will show later. Um, and you can see the train does a little honk before it takes off. It's just to let you know to get out of the way, basically. But yeah, the train is going by itself, and I will prove that in a minute once we get up here. Because I'm going to go ahead and hop out. And as you can see, the train's going all by itself. And it's going to pull into the station. Go ahead and unload. This is going to be a very long tutorial, by the way. Probably 2 hours. I wouldn't doubt it. We're already almost at an hour. And we haven't even got into some of the more complex things about trains. Yeah, see, it unloads by itself. And now the train's not going to move until this leaves. Um, but since the train station's empty, going to drop off the cars completely, and it's going to go back empty. Meep. And off she goes. Off to go pick up more iron. To then put into the sink, or into the sinks. By the way, if you didn't know, these are all infinite, so that's why I don't care. The infinite nodes. It'd be nice if they offered like limited nodes, so that you can have a little more challenging gameplay, like as an option, not as a replacement, but as an option. And like I said, see, train just goes on by itself. Very cool, very cool. Okay, so the next thing is going to be, I'm going to show you how to set up bidirectional railways. So we're going to grab ourselves another train station. And let's say I want to pick up, let's see, where's some more iron? Some more iron would be good. And this will also give you a tutorial on how to do like, how to do the signals and stuff as well, which we can do. There's some more iron right over there. Perfect. Okay, let's say I don't want to build a circle rail, or I don't want to build a dual rail, and I just want to build a bidirectional rail, because that's the quickest and the easiest. Nice and dirty, nice and quick. Let's go. Two freight platforms. Boop. And boop. Because we want it, I kind of want it the same. Trains don't have to be the same length for each station. They just need to be dropping off and picking up stuff in the correct order. So if you have like a 3-car train dropping off at a 5-car train, you probably want that to be unloading what you want it to unload, or picking up what you want it to pick up in the correct cars, especially if you have sushi cars and stuff like that. You got to be real careful. But we're just going to do iron ore for now, because I decided I don't have enough iron ore. Then we're going to go production, of course. We'll just throw some minor Mark IIIs on here. Alright, then I'm going to go logistics, good conveyor merger. Then yeah, we'll merge all these. So that one, and that one. And we'll just put it into here, and then put it into there. Very good. Off she goes. Okay, and then of course logistics. So this is a bidirectional rail. Basically what this means is a train goes both directions on the same track. That's pretty much what that means. So if I put my tracks down here, so we'll do a separate one first, and then we'll get into signals in a little bit. So put this down. Don't worry about the rocks and stuff. No, I don't really. It is not going to bother me right now. Yeah, you can set up trains to do this if you like. Now, the easiest way to do a bidirectional rail is to set this up like this, and have the train stations facing away from each other. So on one end, you have one train station facing the end of the line track, and on the other end, you have the train station facing the end of the line on the other end. This makes it super easy for the train, because the train doesn't have to ever turn around. It doesn't actually have to back up technically. And then I'm just going to flip this rail, or this train right here, and like that. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this rail. We're going to edit the timetable. We're going to go boop, and we're going to go boop, save changes, and we're going to turn on self-driving. And now the train's going to go by itself. Goodbye! We're going to set these to unload, of course. and then we'll set up a couple more. No, we'll just do it like that. But as you can see, the train pulls into the station. The engine is what pulls into the actual train station, and the cars are all lined up for their loading and unloading, of course. And then watch as this train goes the other direction, these lights will turn red. This is like the rear of the train now. Pretty cool, pretty cool. And stuff like that. Now, depending on how your train station's set up, you don't have to have the trains facing away from each other. But yeah, see the lights turn red. Isn't that cool? That's one of the new things I've seen. Yeah, and then it's going to go here, and it's just going to unload at this station. So that's a bidirectional rail. That's one of the easiest ways to set up trains, so that you don't have to worry about doing a circle like this, or what we call a dual rail. So basically, a dual rail is a circuit, but it's two rails next to each other, like you see with most train tracks. Are going to be a dual rail setup. In a lot of different places in the world, you're going to see two rails running parallel along with each other, and one going one way and one going the other, which is how I like to set up my trains. Really nice to be able to do that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's a bidirectional rail. Pretty easy to set up. Don't need no block signals or pass signals or anything like that, because it's only one train per line. But let's say I don't want... This will make that train not work, by the way. But let's say I don't want that to be unloaded there, because I'm already unloading right here. Why don't I just connect that to this railway? So I'm going to let this train go by real quick. You know what? I might make this train tutorial a two-parter. So this one, what we'll do is we'll talk about the basics. We're talking about the it just came to mind. I'm sorry, but we'll talk about the basics. We'll talk about how to set up rails, different types of rails and stuff like that. How to work the trains and make them work correctly. And then next time, so that this video doesn't end up being 2 to 3 hours long, next time we'll talk about the tips and tricks and how to get your rails looking nice and stuff like that. Again, it's all optional. It's all opinion, depending on how you like it. You may think this rail looks nice, sunken halfway in the grass. Like I said, it's all opinionated, depending on how you like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a little section of rail right there, and then I'm going to connect it here. And then I'm going to do this, which is going to set up another rail to then connect. Again, don't worry about it going through the rocks and trees. Trains don't care about that stuff. To then go to this train station. Now, I'm going to set this up so it's hamburger. We'll just call it hamburger. We're going to not put up any block signals or anything like that to show you why you need signals and stuff. Don't worry about that. It's just save changes. So its next station is here, and then once that's done loading or whatever, it's like, yeah, don't worry about that. Sometimes the trains bug out a little bit with the render distance and things like that when it comes to loading and unloading. And now it's going to try and redock because now the train's confused at what just happened. Now that I set that. Now I am hoping that these trains end up colliding at some point. Now watch, it's going to try and load these. Boop. And that's going to go. Even though this train station's got a train in it, this one's probably ready to leave by now. Yep, there it goes. Get out of the way! Oh, you lucky bastard. It just got out of there in time. Oh, man, sad that I wanted to show you what it would be if these trains crashed. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel the docking. Cancel! Cancel! Nah, it's not going to cancel. Canceling docking, it's trying. I wanted to send it back. And now we're going back over there. That's okay. They'll probably meet. See if I can cancel the docking here. Actually, yeah, cancel docking, turn off. I told it to cancel, but it's still gonna try, I guess. Yeah, whatever. It's trying to load, yeah, it's a little bit confused. Alright, go. Go! While that other train is in that station. Is it gonna get out of there in time? Did I perfectly time this? No I did not. Yep, just crashed. It's because I didn't have path signals, of course. Now you can re-rail trains if you ever do have them crash. Yeah, but turn on self-driving. You do have to turn the self-driving back on if they do crash, so don't worry about that. Turn on self-driving. I said turn on self-driving. Go. And there you go. So basically the two trains crashed because one was already occupying the station. And one was already it just made cars appear there. I was like, what is it trying to load? But yeah, because one was already occupying the station, the other one wanted to get in there. He couldn't wait. Couldn't see the other train there because the AI in this game for the trains, they don't see each other. They don't know that each other exists. The only way that they know each other exists is via the signals. The signals will tell them. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on self-driving. Get out of the way! Oh, I didn't time that correctly. Oh well. So, how do we keep this? How do we keep them crashing? How do we keep that from happening? Well, there's a couple different ways. Well, actually, there's only one right way as well. So, I'm going to put block signals at each one of these stations. I'll probably, since the train station does stick out, I'm going to put a block signal here. Now, important, when it comes to bidirectional rails, you have to have a signal on either side, otherwise the train will never move. As you can see, this says the block signal has no exit, which is really weird. But I'm going to do this and see now it's working. Now, this train is never going to go past this until that train moves. Now, the only problem with this is even though the train's never going to move, it's never going to crash into that. It's never going to be able to do that because when you have block signals and you have blocks set up, as you can see, there's two different colors. There's orange here for this station and part of the track, and then there's red for all of this. And that train's never going to move because this train, this entire track is all one block right now as well. So that's the reason this train will never move. And again, like I said, because it's a bidirectional rail, you have to have signals going both directions because the signals are also directional. And you will see that when you go to place them down, you see the arrow there. That arrow indicates that the train can only go that way. But if I put a signal on the other side, right next to it, that means that the train can go both directions. Now, because this is not a complex intersection, I can probably get away with signals like this. And then put a signal in here. Because this is a single direction rail, I can now put that in there. But now you see that the signal loops itself. This is because the signal does indeed loop itself. It goes here and then goes all the way around and then back to itself. So that signal is not going to work. So we're going to put a signal here to prevent that. And basically what this is going to do is it's going to allow this train to go all the way up to the station, and then it's not going to enter until this block is clear. Now, again, this would work, but eventually this train's never going to be able to pull into the station, because past this signal, all of this is red all the way up to here. So the only time with this setup, the only time this train's going to be able to pull in there is if that other train is in this block. So again, not going to be able to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another signal on the end of this train station going this way. And that's going to allow this train to then move into the block. So the other thing to know about blocks is you more than likely, unless it's an intersection, you want your trains to be able to fit inside the entire block. Now, this is the only exception to the rule, is because the train sticks outside the train station. So we're not going to worry about it because it's not going to continue on anyway. But now if this train comes this way, this train's going to stop at this block because this block is saying, hey, there's a train in here. And it's actually good that this train station sticks out into the intersection, because then this train coming this way, as you can see, it's going to stop here. And it's going to wait until that train clears that intersection. There, it's clear. Now the train goes. And then this signal flips back to red because there's not a train inside there. Now generally, when you're running trains, if you got multiple trains on the same track, you probably want to put your blocks every so often, but make sure the train can fit inside the block comfortably. And I say comfortably as in the train is not the exact size of the block. The train is actually slightly smaller. And you can actually set up blocks to be the exact distance you need if you're willing to put in the effort to do that. But we're not here, so. But yeah, when it comes to stations, put a signal, a block signal on the beginning of the train station and on the end of the train station. This is so any other trains entering this train network will never be blocked unless they're trying to go through the station. And they will never just run into a train that's trying to load or unload materials and stuff like that. So that's basically how blocks work, how these block sections work, and stuff like that. So right about here, you can only put block signals and pass signals where the train tracks connect to each other. So definitely be aware of that as well when you're placing down stuff. As you can see, this block section is gray, this one's purple, that train station is also purple-ish, something like that. It's a slightly darker purple. That one's blue, that one's light blue, that one's green. This is just to tell you where the blocks are. As you can see, as the train moves through, all the blocks turn red, and the previous block that the train was occupying now turns green. This tells other trains to say, hey, I can go into this intersection, or I can go into this block, and it's not blocked by another train, and I won't crash, basically, essentially. So then you're probably asking yourself, well, where do the path signals come in? The path signals come in when you get more complex intersections. This intersection is pretty rudimentary. You got two entering trains entering into the intersection. So a block signal more than likely will do, especially because that other train takes up both the intersection and the train station at the same time. So not a big deal there. But when you have multiple entrances and multiple exits to a singular intersection, that's when you're going to want pass signals. And I'll show you an example of that. So let's say we got a train. This will just be without train stations. It'll just be easier this way. So we got a train coming in this way. We got a train coming in this way from over here. Another train coming in this way. And all of them got to leave via this track to then head somewhere. Why are you skating? Get out of here. I got a cluster bomb. That's a little bit close. I will just leave it like that. Okay. So then, and by the way, when it comes to making intersections, one connection can only hold 3 connectors. So if you've got 3 tracks going to one track, that's your max. If you got one track splitting off to 3 directions, that's your max. You cannot go over that. That is one thing to note. So I'm going to connect this track here. I'm going to connect this track here. And I'm not going to connect that track there because it's a little too steep. So what I'm going to do is I'll just pull it out this way. That'll be fine. Okay. So this is probably where you would want a path signal. Don't worry about the signal because these are inbound. This is outbound. That's another thing to think about when you're setting up intersections. What are my inbound tracks and where's my outbound tracks to set up for that intersection. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, okay, that one has a double, this one, and this one has a, that's fine. Okay. So this is where I'm going to want a path signal. Now path signals, the way they work is they don't work necessarily like the block signals. They work like them, but they're more advanced because the trains can see a path signal ahead of them, and they can, from a far distance, they can actually reserve the block for themselves. And basically, when it comes to path signals, this is a first come, first served basis. So whoever reserves it first gets to go through first. So again, we have our trains. I don't know if the trains will work without hooking up to train stations. Let's say these 3 trains are coming to this intersection, and they all want to go into that intersection. But we've got the block signals here. Let me fix the block signals. So when you have an exit to your intersection, best to go with just a standard block signal. Don't worry about it flashing. That's just because the block has no exit, because this block just doesn't have anywhere to go. But now you can see all these signals are now working. They're all red, by the way. These will only turn green if the AI reserves it. So let's say these 3 train stations, they're approaching this intersection. They all want to go onto this track here. Then let's say this AI gets close enough first. When it's on self-driving, it's going to turn this. Will you go away? Get off my track. I don't know what it is with train tracks and these guys, but they freaking love train tracks. I do not know why, but they do. They love train tracks. I guess it's warm. See, it's going to come back here in a minute. Well, oh yeah, this will work. Okay, this train gets close enough to route it first. It's going to turn that green. The train's going to go through, and even if this train is still within the block section, this train will come all the way up to this signal. This train will come all the way up to the signal, and they'll wait. Whoever gets here first is the next one to go through. So they all reserve it, but if it's not able to go through the intersection, see, look, he's coming back. He's coming back to my rail. Go away! Okay. Yeah, he's gone. All right. So basically, that's how that works. And now that this rail's clear, this one, let's say this one got here next, it then goes through. And then once this one clears, then the next one goes through, and so on. And you can get more complex than this. The other example, let's go ahead and delete all this real quick. Okay, now that all that's deleted, let's get a little more advanced, shall we? Let's actually get really advanced. So I like to put my intersections up on foundation so that my intersections are nice and clean. If you did notice that some of those tracks weren't on the same level when they were connecting to each other, and it looked weird. Um, yeah, let's go ahead and get all these tracks up on the same level here. So let's see. I want to go, let's just go 10 in either direction. So 4, 5. Ah, my radio. Give me that back. And then 4, 4. But yeah, let's go super advanced with this. We'll just go straight into one of the most advanced intersections I know of. And this is the four-way intersection, dual rail four-way. The most advanced piece, like I said, the most advanced piece that I know. So we start off by building these little straight pieces. By the way, the shortest track you can build is 1.5 foundations, and sometimes the track is a little picky and doesn't let you do 1.5. You have to go one more than 1.5. Basically, one more little increment. That's an increment right there, as well. So, yeah, just be aware that that's just sometimes how it works. And also, the shortest 90 degree you can do is a 3x3 foundation. So let me show you here. So let's say I got a track. Well, actually, I do have a track that needs to go this way. So I got a track that starts here, and I need to end up going that way for a perfect 90 degree. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and then on the same foundation, this one here, I'm going to go. I'm going to count this one. So 1, 2, 3. And I don't remember what the biggest one of the 90 degrees is for the length of track, because they do have a limit on the length of track. But yeah, that is the smallest you can do for a 90 degree, is the 3x3 foundation. So again, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. As you can see, it's a perfect 90 degree corner. And also, there's another thing to note about 90 degree corners with the 3x3. You cannot do this because the tracks are picky sometimes. Even though this works perfectly to go over there, as you can see, I go to connect it, the track is too sharp. Why? Because reasons. That's why. Because F you. That's basically the reason. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And as you see, it perfectly works now if it doesn't have something to connect to. It's just the way that the track, it's still got some work kinks to it. The other type of corner that's in here is a 4x4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm just going to connect it. So there's one of them. There's another. There's another. And there's another. And you're like, holy crap, that's pretty complex, right? We're not even close to complex yet. Because I'm going to go this way, this way, this way, and this way. This is the four-way, or the four-way dual rail track system. This is the smallest you can make it, by the way, as well. So to make it look this nice, anyway. So you can have up to. Why is it being so picky? You can have. So the way this one works is you have one track inbound and one track outbound. So this is the inbound, this is the outbound, and that's on all 4 of these. So this train, when it approaches this signal switch here, it can go left, it can go right, or you can go straight. And on this inbound, it's the same right here, just like this. And this is the only way this would work, by the way. You have to set it up like this. Obviously, you can set it up to right-hand driving, like in the US, or left-hand driving in the UK. You can set it up however you like. So I'm just putting the engines down there just to show you the inbound and outbound rails. This is why I say when you're building intersections, make sure you think about this type of stuff as well. So yeah, those are our inbound and outbound rails. So for a intersection as complex as this is, you're going to want pass signals. Block signals will not work. There will be two trains that enter the block at the exact same time at some point, and they will crash into each other. Or there'll be a train halfway in a block getting ready to exit. Another train goes in, and another train goes in, and they crash, they collide. It's just what's going to happen. So block signals are not good enough for this type of intersection. As you can see, it's all one block right now. So the way that the train knows what an intersection is when two tracks collide with each other, or come really, really close to each other. That's how it knows that that's an intersection. That's how it identifies it. So as you can see, these tracks are going through each other, um, and the game is recognizing that as an intersection. So the pass signal here, and then this is the inbound as well. This one's the inbound, and this one's the inbound. This will stop all collisions for trains. They will never collide again. And I shouldn't say never, because sometimes they do glitch out a little bit, and somehow both trains reserve the same intersection. It's a very rare occurrence, and it only happens during loading a save. It's a bit of a bug, but yeah, that's basically how it's set up. So basically, I've got for my inbound rails, I've got block signals to enter into the intersection, and for my outbound rails, I've got block signals. So again, just as a to show you here, um, this is the inbounds and outbounds. The reason I use block signals for the outbound is because there doesn't need to be another pass signal unless there's another intersection tied to this, and then I will go ahead and put another pass signal next to it. Now the cool things about pass signals is the train can actually reserve up to 3 path signals at a time. So if you've got multiple intersections that are really close together, you can still split up those intersections to keep things from getting too clogged up with the trains. If you got multiple trains going, of course you do. Of course you will have. But then they can reserve all 3 of those intersections to go straight on through without having to worry about stopping at any point. But that's also, like I said, a way to keep your intersections separate, because if you got intersections that are really close together and you don't separate them between the pass signals themselves, then you can end up in a situation where the train is waiting at one end of all those intersections while another train goes through, and it's having to wait even though it doesn't need to. So the cool thing else about pass signals is pass signals recognize which tracks go where. So this pass signal right here, it knows, oh, there's my radio again. This pass signal knows that this track, and this track is a way for the train to go. It knows that those tracks are connected to this exact path signal, because it goes, okay, there's my block signals for my exits of this block. I know which way the train's going to go. So when the train reserves the pass signal, it switches this track control here, or it knows when to switch it. It switches it kind of almost as it touches it. Sorry, I hit my headset. It switches it almost as it hits it, basically, just before to switch the track. Now, if this train, let's say this train's wanting to go left, and we got another train here. I'll drive this train in. We got another train that's going left as well, like this. Or let's say this train was already in the block. What you'll also see is this train goes, okay, this one's also going left. These 2 trains can enter the block at the same time because they're not going to collide. This doesn't always happen, but it does happen to where trains will enter the block at the same time because the block signals know that the trains are not going to collide, so it's going to allow it to pass on through as well. Now, if this train was trying to go right and that train was trying to go left, or this train was trying to go straight. As you can see here, there's left, there's straight, and there's right. It's not going to allow it through. It's going to say, nope, stop. You can't go through because that train is going left. And if you enter this block, there's a possibility of a crash. Because the block signals and the pass signals, they don't know how long the trains are. They just know there's something in the block. Let's turn on the red signal. There's nothing in the block. It's cleared. Let's turn on the green signal. And same with this one basically as well. So yeah, pretty cool. Hopefully I didn't get too technical on you. Hopefully you kind of understand how pass signals and block signals work now. The block signals are just kind of rudimentary signals that you only need on very simple track setups like we have over here, where even if you have two trains on this track, let's say we put another train on here. Actually, I can do that. Give me you. Okay, let's put another train on here, and let's set it up. Edit timetable. Let's go iron mine and hamburger. I call it hamburger. Save changes. Oop. And turn on self-driving. Okay. So this train is also going to go on this same track as well, and it's going to know that, hey, that train is entered in that block, so it's going to enter in the intersection here. Now what I can do as well, if you have block signals and they're not working, and you're like, oh, I need a pass signal, you can replace these. But you're going to notice something in particular here as well. Let me, once that train moves through, I'll do this. Go ahead. You're going to notice, let's go ahead and do this real quick. Let's swap these. Okay. The other thing about path signals cannot contain stations. That is one of the other things. So if you're using path signals, you need to put a block signal at the end here in order for this system to work. The other thing is if you have a path signal and a block signal going into an intersection, which this is what it is, you're going to notice the block has conflicting entry types. So if you get that come up, just look at all your entry signals, which this one and that one, as you can see, those are different. This is a this is a pass signal. That's a block signal. I need two pass signals. Even though this intersection has not changed, it's still rudimentary. I've got more trains on this network now. I need block signals or pass signals in order to reserve this intersection. So yeah, see, this train's going to stop here, and it's not going to enter that. And hopefully we'll get a scenario where the two trains are approaching it. As you can see, it turns green because it reserves that signal, or that block. It reserves the block for itself to go into as well. And something else you're going to notice as well is the trains will not enter this intersection if there's a train in the station. This is because when they go to reserve a block with a path signal, the path signal looks at the ahead block signal. So if there's a block signal after it, if that block signal is blocked, this train, even though this block right here to that train station is clear, you can see that this train is not allowed to go through. It's not allowed to go through this intersection into the intersection. This is because you can end up with scenarios where it's called deadheading, or that's what I call it. It's deadheading, where two trains cannot move because both of them are trying to enter a block at the next block is blocked off, but this train enters it, and then that train goes, okay, I can't enter that, so this train is blocking the intersection, waiting for it to be clear. And if we had another train coming into that intersection as well, going the opposite direction, and there's a train, it can't move because this train is in the way and that train, and yeah, so basically they try to be a bit smarter. This will look to the next block and say, okay, you just can't enter the intersection. No blocking the intersection, dang it. And now that that's clear, this train's going to go through. um, as well. And again, even if this train wasn't blocking, it wouldn't allow this through, but now that that's blocking, this is going to go, okay, I can't go in there because that train's in there. And that's how you create that. And now if I simply have left this a block section, we might get a little more slowdown, a little more blockage um, going on. But this is at that point now where, um, me personally, it don't matter how simple the intersection is. I'm going to use pass signals because that's the easiest way, um, and the trains will thank you for using pass signals. Um, Also, let me show you something here as well. Look at this. This is how you can actually stop trains from stopping at the top of hills. Because since this can reserve 3 block signals at one time, I'm stopping this train from going up here and stopping, or going up to the next one and stopping. You can also use that too to your advantage. Like if you got a steep hill and you have to put a block section or a block signal at the top of that hill, um, if you put a block signal at the top of the hill and at the bottom of the hill, the train will stop at the bottom of the hill. Um, so then it has room to run up to then go up the hill rather than stopping at the top. So another cool thing too. And yeah, it again looks at the thing. As you can see, this train has reserved this block, that block, and that block. So you can do some pretty advanced things with the trains and get your rail networks going and stuff like that. Pretty nice. Um, that's basically how block signals work and how path signals work. If you're going to do intersections, easiest way, put a path signal. If you're going to do just straight track, going one direction, block signals. Again, if you're doing a bidirectional rail, make sure you have signals going both directions so that the train can go back and forth. This is a looped rail. This is a bidirectional rail. And this up here is called a dual rail, which you have one. Now this is the most popular um, with the rails, is a dual rail section. So you got one going one way, one going the other. This is the best for automation. Automation because I'm losing my voice. Sorry. But yeah, this is the best for automation because this will give you the most throughput for your trains. If you're having a lot of trains on one rail network, it might even be a good idea to run maybe 3 rails, maybe 4 rails, depending on how much room you have, of course. And you can get even crazier intersections with those as well. And with this dual rail setup, you can set this up with a simple, let's do a simple rail system. So we got this one going to here. Then you could do like this. So this would be like an example. Let's do that. There we go. This is an example of a bidirectional 4-way intersection. So the way you'd set this one up, pass signal. Pass signals going in always. Pass signals going into your intersection always, no matter what. And then block signals. You don't have to have block signals as the exit, but it's probably best unless you, like I said, unless you have multiple intersections. So then, now that the train can go both ways on this track, the train can go this way or that way. Same with this one, that way or that way. And obviously you can set up like one-way rails on certain sections like we have over here, along with the dual rails. You can combine them, do whatever you like. Just remember, intersections, pass signals, regular block sections, you just need the regular block signal. In the dual rails, like I said, you need a signal on either side of each track piece for each block, going both directions so the train can move through automatically. Things like that. You can combine, again, you can combine this kind of stuff as well. So, um, yeah, my recommendation, if you're going to do a dual rail, this is the easiest. Um, have one track on one end going one way and the other track on the other end. Basically, the train station facing the end of the rail, like I've said before, and that is the easiest way to do that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to show you this entire setup um, with the fluid freight platforms because that does the same thing. So that's basically the kind of um, starter and some of the more advanced stuff with rails and how to use tracks and stuff like that. Hopefully, after watching this video, you have a better idea now of how to use trains and stuff like that. Um, Again, sorry if I missed anything or whatnot. There will be a part two, like I said, which will be some tips and tricks on how to get your rails looking nice. Um, some of the more advanced setups for train stations, loading and unloading, and stuff like that. Mixed trains and like I said, doing like supports for tracks and how to do that kind of stuff. But this video has gone on long enough. Like I said, if I missed anything, do let me know. I'll include it in part two. If there's anything I could explain better, also do let me know down in the comment section, and I will address that next time. If you have any questions, if you're having any troubles, you can ask me, and hopefully I'll be able to help you out. Not everything I'm going to be able to help out, obviously, um, but hopefully I will be able to. So if you have any questions, any concerns, stuff like that, do voice it down in the comment section. But yeah, hopefully this helped you out as well. Like I said, there will be a part two, but I'll probably give a few days for comments and stuff like that to roll in. Haha, trains rolling. Sorry. And yeah, we'll do some more advanced setups. We'll do some clean setups with foundations and things like that. And maybe even do some tips and tricks on how to get your train stations looking a little better, other than them just sitting out in the open. Um, like I said, how to do supports for your rails. Bridges maybe even we'll get into. There might be even a part three on some more tips and tricks and stuff like that. Also, if you want me to do any other tutorials, maybe I can do that kind of stuff. We're kind of in between seasons right now, which is why I'm doing these kind of tutorials and stuff um, as well. So, um, again, do let me know on that kind of stuff. There we go. On what you would like to see as far as tutorials. And again, like I said, if I missed anything, let me know. I take criticism well, as long as you're not just outright berating me. You can do that too, I guess. That's fine. Um, yeah, definitely voice it in the comment section, and we'll see where we go from there. So, like I said, that is going to be it for this tutorial, not tutorial. Kind of crazy tutorial, all over the place tutorial. Very unorganized, very crazy, very long even. And until next time, I guess it's a goodbye.